So we've lined our baking tray here. First job you do, you just make sure that the paper fits the tray, nothing overhanging, because that will just flap in the oven. Okay?
Could I burn the oven?
No, because it's baking paper.
Oh, okay.
So it doesn't burn. Okay, we're going to cream the butter, I believe, first, are we?
Yes.
What does that mean? Well, pardon? Not rubbing in. We're going to cream it with what ingredient? Sugar and vanilla. So basically, we're going to turn it, we're going to start to cream it, we're going to soften it, we're going to put air into it, and that's creaming it. And you'll see that it's creamed when the colour changes and it turns to a cream-like consistency. All right? Now at the moment it's too hard to cream. You cannot cream hard butter. You need to soften it in a microwave for about 10 seconds, and it's guesswork. Don't put it in for 30, because if you melt it, you can't cream it. You cannot cream melted butter. So as you can see, that's still intact, it hasn't melted, but it's softer. See? So we can now begin to cream that with the sugar. How much sugar do we need?
A quarter of a cup.
Of
Sugar.
which one? White or brown?
Brown.
Quarter of a cup of brown.
And a quarter of a cup of sugar.
So a quarter of a cup of white as well as brown.
Yeah.
Boom. And we'll clean this so we don't put brown sugar in the white sugar. Which would, what's the word? Contaminate, good. Boom. And basically we're using a spatula because there's not a great deal in there. And if I use a whisk, it'll just all stick inside the whisk. So happy for you to use the spatula. You would normally use a whisk for creaming. It's easier to use a whisk for creaming when you've got more ingredients. So I'm pressing the butter into the sugar. The sooner that butter holds onto the sugar, the quicker it's going to cream. Until it does that, you're just pushing sugar around the bowl. So let's press the butter into the sugar. See, it's all soft and kind of a pasty, creamy consistency. See what's going on? It's like a batter, isn't it? It's a cream, but it's a batter. It all depends on the ratio of butter to sugar on how creamy it becomes. So as soon as it's combined in a creamy, pasty-like, doughy consistency, we can do what? What's next? Add the vanilla. Now there's an easier way of, we can just add the vanilla into the egg. We can put the whole egg in here. And why are we beating the egg? Why are we beating the egg? Why don't we just put half straight in? So before we answer that question, you can see the shell in there. Just use the outer shell as a scoop. And take it out. It's the easiest way to get shell out, otherwise you'll be there all day trying to do it with your fingers. Alright, so why do we beat the egg together? Instead of just putting half in there now? Yes?
Is this like a mixture orange bit with
Pardon?
Mix the orange bit with all the...
So, you,
To mix the yolk with the white.
so to mix the yolk with the white, because we need both the fat and the protein in the mixture. Alright, we don't just need protein, which is just the white, and a little bit of yolk. We need a mixture of the two. Then when we do half, we just do it by sight. Vanilla, quarter of a teaspoon.
Yep.
Beautiful. And this gets quite wet, but bear with it because it will come together. You need to make sure that the egg is fully mixed in before we add, what's next?
Flour.
Flour. So you need to make sure it's fully mixed in, and by that you need to be able to see that there's no more wet egg mixture. As you can see, it's got to fully incorporate. And that's because you've got fats in there. The butter, the egg yolk come together nicely. Can you see? There's no more liquid egg. It's fully incorporated, so now you can add in your flour. How much? How much?
3/4 of a cup at plus 1 tablespoon of sulfur in the cup.
3/4 of a cup. Are we going to sieve this in here?
Yes.
Are we going to sieve the flour into here? Why? Why are we going to sieve it? Whoa, 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 whoa. Sorry, Jack.
It gets
Okay. Yes, it sort of it kind of gets air into the flour because it separates the grains, not grains, the flour, and just allows them to come together and trap them in the bag.
it removes foreign bodies.
Removes foreign bodies. Perfect. Foreign bodies, not lumps. Good words. All right. So the measure of the cup is level. How many was it? 3/4?
Yeah, 3/4.
Make sure it's level. And another teaspoon, was it? I'm going to stick with just that. Okay? More flour, the less moist. Now, what do we know about keeping things short? If I was to say to you the biscuit, the cookie needs to be short, what would that mean to you? What is short? What are we shortening with the fat? What's in the flour that we need to keep short so it's crumbly? Pardon? We need to shorten. There's a protein in flour that when mixed with
Wheat.
pardon?
Fiber.
Gluten. You remember me talking about gluten before? Making scones and things? Alright, we need to stop those gluten strands joining together. We need to keep them short, and it's the fat of the egg and the butter that does that. It prevents them from joining together, which makes it crumbly. Pretty good, eh? As opposed to when you're making bread and pasta, when you knead, that is joining them together. It's tearing the gluten, and as they come back together, they form stronger bonds, so that when the bread rises, it holds in those air pockets, because the gluten strands, the outside of those bubbles is the gluten strand protein. We don't want that in the biscuit or a cake, because we need it short. Beautiful. And crumbly. Always remember crumbly. It's a nice word, isn't it? You like crumbly? Yeah? Do you like that word? I like that word. Who doesn't like that word? Ben, do you like crumbly? It's a good word, isn't it? Tastes good too. Alright, so bind it together a little bit.
65 grams.
And then we've got our chocolate chips. So as you can notice, I'm not mixing this because the flour's going to go everywhere. Again, I'm pressing flour into fat. We shall just slowly bring it together, as you can see. In with the chocky chips. Now just with the scones, you can do anything you want here. You can put whatever you want in there. You can do a variation on the cookie as much as you can with the scone. Alright, and then we'll bring it together on the bench. And as you can see, yeah, but you've got to be careful doing that because you may overflour it. That's why it's so important to measure your ingredients correctly, and the recipe needs to work. Now you can see how short this is because it's very crumbly. Right? With a little bit of working, it will come together. Alright, and when I say working, I don't mean kneading, just press it together, bring it together. Alright, and I'm pressing it. I'm not kneading by tearing the gluten strands like you would with bread. Or pasta. Okay, there we go. Cookie dough. You buy that in packets at the supermarket, eh? But you don't need to anymore, because there it is. Beautiful. Yeah. Isn't it, Jackie?
Yes.
Alright, so I'm just bringing it together. And I need to bring it together. Now the trick would be, actually I should have made one earlier, that's why on the TV programmes they go, made one earlier. It's going to be easier to cut, so I'm going to slice it. If I leave it in the fridge for a while, rest it. Okay? So for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm not going to do that, but we could put it in the fridge, rest it and then slice it. It's going to be easier to cook because it won't be as soft. It'll be a bit more firm, and it gives a chance for the gluten to and the mixture to rest really, so that any moisture is fully taken up by the gluten, and which is all good. Happy with that? But I'm just going to cut straight away, which I'm sure you'll be happy with as well. Alright, let me just wash my hands.
I'm fine, please.
I'm just trying to give you some extra knowledge. Oh look, that I was going to use it as a pastry scraper, but you would use it on a gâteau. If you put cream on the outside of a gâteau, you can score lines on it. You can score some lines on it. That's what pastry chefs use and so on. Cake decorators. Alright, so tray. How many we got here? Who wants the cookie in the end? Who doesn't? One doesn't. Have you got your hand up? No. So what we got? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Goodness me. 16. What are you, right again? So, as best you can. Listen up, listen up. As best you can. Get the cookie dough as even as you can. And then in half, in half, in half, and just keep going in half, and that should give you even sized pieces. Now remember, we don't want flappy in the oven. Alright, so use your cookie dough to pin it down. Like when you're camping and you need to keep your tarpaulin down, eh? You've had cookie dough. It's got raw egg in it though, hasn't it? So which could be dangerous, yeah?
Yeah, it's so good. It makes egg-free cookie dough.
Pardon?
My sister makes egg-free cookie dough.
Egg-free cookie dough. That's cool. So just place on your cookie dough, your cookies now, onto the tray. And then we'll whack them in the oven. Alright.
When were you